Welcome to Casual Watch Talk, the podcast from the Casual Watch Reviewer YouTube channel. Join us as we talk everything watches, from watch collecting, the latest horology news and interviews. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe on your favourite podcast app. Let's dive into the show. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 14 of Casual Watch Talk. You're listening to Sam from the Casual Watch Reviewer YouTube channel and Chris from Everyday Mastery on Instagram.
Good evening, Sam.
Good evening, Chris. It's been a bit of a somber week, but how have you been?
Holding it down. You know, we have now received a stay-home order from the governor. So very, very busy at work, getting a work-from-home program set up in amazingly short time. Super tired from that and recovering from that, but everybody is safe and healthy here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're going to dedicate a large portion of this episode to talking about the various things that have been going on in the world, in particular the coronavirus. But as usual, let's stick with some kind of format here. We'll go through our watches that we've been wearing, our watch obsessions, and we've got a couple of news stories, and then we'll dive into a main topic. So hopefully this is finding all of you well. If you're in quarantine, at least hopefully you can have an hour of casual watch talk to entertain you. So
yeah, try to distract you a little bit. Exactly.
Yeah. So Chris, what watch have you been wearing mostly this week?
So I started out, and we'll talk about this in the main topic, I think, but I started out with I grabbed my Casio, that we talked about on the last couple episodes, my Tough Solar G-Shock. I just opened the box and said, I gotta put that on. But I switched over to, I'm wearing the Hamilton Khaki King tonight. I'm more comfortable with the way the world is right now, so I switched over to the Hamilton, and in the same vein of a super reliable, easy to read field watch. So that's what's on my wrist. How about you?
I've been wearing the Ultimate Turtle quite a bit. I know this is a ongoing theme, but I love that watch. For some reason, I'm going to have to bring it round to your house again when we're out of quarantine, because it's gone from, I think we regulated it to -2 seconds a day, and then it was regularly giving me kind of -6 seconds a day.
Okay.
But it slipped a little bit to 10, so I think we could probably tune it up a little bit.
Yeah, and it's been consistent -10?
Yes. Yeah, it's consistent -10. I'll send you the app that I use, the timing app. It's not a time grapher, but it's if anyone's interested, I use the watch tracker on
your Apple.
On the Apple, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I use Watch Check on Android, and I'll usually screenshot that and check that.
Yeah, and I've been found another really cool app, and this will go to my watch obsession this week, because I have bought a watch this week. But first of all, have you had a watch obsession this week?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to pass on watch obsession. Nothing
I bet you
really...
haven't had 5 minutes, have you, to look at the internet?
Yeah. I was catching up on a couple of YouTube watch videos, a couple of videos, and then looking at my feed, and then promptly fell asleep. That's definitely been the story for the last couple of days for me.
There's been such craziness going on that I have found it quite therapeutic looking at watches, but what I've been looking at, I've defaulted back to what I think is good value. I knew I wanted another watch to kind of replace the Speedmaster. Not to replace the Speedmaster, because there's no replacement for it. The Speedmaster is its own thing. But I really wanted another kind of everyday watch, and I defaulted back to where I think the best value is. And I was looking mainly at Citizen watches and Hamilton watches. The Hamilton Navy watch, great value for money on eBay at the moment. You can pick one up with a metal bracelet for you could pick one up in the non-preferred color, which I think is the black and orange bezel. $410 for an ETA movement. It must be one of the best value mechanical dive watches, Hamilton. I'm surprised it's not as famous as the Khaki, really, but Hamilton the value there.
Yeah, it's good value for money. It kind of has the same style as if you're looking in the Orient, any of the Orient divers, it kind of has that toned down sort of, what you would expect a diver dress watch to look like.
What I went for in the end was a Citizen watch. I decided I wanted a really high quality quartz watch in the collection, and I also wanted a titanium watch, and Citizen make it's a Japanese only version, and I think there's only 2 YouTubers that have reviewed it, but it's one of the ProMaster Land versions, the Citizen ProMaster Land, and it's the PMD 56-2952 Eco Drive titanium watch. Yeah. It's a super simple field watch. I paid $467 for it, which is quite expensive, but you can actually only really get them from Japan.
I see. So you're paying a little premium for that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's full titanium case using durable titanium coating that they put on the watches.
Right, the scratch coating that they do. Mm-hmm.
It just really speaks to me, this design of kind of minimalist field watch design. It's atomic timekeeping. Now, every reviewer that's reviewed this watch, and I think there's only about 2 or 3, noted that it does have atomic time, but the atomic time only references the atomic time mast in Japan.
Oh, I see. So it's not
Japan's multiple islands, but I think it literally runs the length of that island. It doesn't broadcast along it. And a couple of reviewers have really put them off about this watch. Mm-hmm. Now, this is where I found a really cool app. I've just learned of this app today, and I found it in some forum thread.
Okay.
I'd never heard of this, but have you ever heard of an app that simulates the atomic clocks?
That actually transmits the signal?
Yeah.
I would be all over that. It's
the best $2 I've ever spent on the App Store, I think, in a long time. What you do is you download it, and it's called, let me get the name for it. In fact, there's 2 of them. This one's called Clock Wave. I believe it's available on Android, but I downloaded it on iOS.
Yeah, let me check it out.
Remember those old school Scion organizers and I think even the Apple Newtons would do it, where you could hold them to the phone and it would broadcast the tone.
Oh, I know how. Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry. Yes, I knew that. Sorry, I skipped ahead. I'm sorry, Sam. So let's back up a little bit. Right. You're right. So it's the old radio transmitters that would say like, at the tone, the time will be beep, right? And there used to be a phone number you could call, and they actually they shut down that phone system like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And then you were talking about, Sam, there's Japanese transmitter. There's also a European version as well. So there's like...
Yeah, there's like 6 of these atomic clocks, isn't there?
Yeah. And so in here in the United States, and
8,
I think
maybe.
Yeah, here in the United States, and I think in Europe as well, it uses a shortwave radio. So as a ham radio nerd, I'll step in, and it's kind of amazing that like it's this frequency that your watch will listen for like at 2 o'clock in the morning, because all the radio frequency is died down from us not working, from us sleeping. So it's only in the middle of the night will your atomic watch, whether it's your G-Shock or this Citizen. Yeah, if this app does what it says it is, it's pretty amazing, because a 2 years ago, NIST announced that they were eventually going to shut this whole system down, that they were no longer going to broadcast radio broadcast that would synchronize clocks.
Well, yes. So what I'm going to do is you might not be able to pick this up, but I'm going to hold it next to the microphone. I don't know if you can hear this. Like, it'll start ticking away. I don't know if you can hear it.
I heard one. Yeah.
So what it's doing is if anybody can't hear this on the podcast, it's ticking away. And I thought this was total BS. Like, I was like, what? I don't understand how this would even work. But it definitely works. I synced my G-Shock with it, and apparently this person on the forum set the atomic clock on their phone to the Japan one, and they managed to set this watch fooling the watch into thinking it was speaking to the Japanese mast, but it was actually speaking to the phone. So it worked. It worked on my G-Shock. It takes about 10 minutes to do it.
Yeah,
but
that's
the G-Shock,
cool.
yeah. It's the first time this G-Shock's ever synced off the atomic clock, but because for some reason I can't get the frequency, it doesn't properly get a signal here. But yeah, it got the 3.
Oh,
if you're familiar with if you're familiar with G-Shocks, it has like an L1 which is low to L3 which is high, and it was L3.
That's cool.
Yeah, for $199.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking at threads right now. They're trying to talk. We'll have to do, maybe we'll do a deep dive on how that works technically, like as like a technical challenge here. I had looked at, because I had heard this was coming. There's a couple of guys that programmed like little Arduino computers and like Raspberry Pis. But what they would do is they'd hook it up to an antenna that is at the same frequency, set to the same frequency as the transmission. Basically make your own little transmitter. You'd put a real-time clock on it and synchronize it with GPS or whatever, and then transmit it. And I was definitely interested in playing with that. But I mean, if someone has figured out how to do it with a smartphone app, that's pretty amazing.
There's actually 2 apps on the App Store. Maybe we should definitely do an actual YouTube video on this. So that's been my watch obsession and I'm really, it was expensive for a quartz watch when you look at it, but when I really read into the specs, and Maverick Watch Reviews did a fantastic review of it, it just really, really spoke to me.
The thing is, it has the radio controlled on the dial, and that would be my only if it's not really radio controlled, but you just solved that problem. So you're set. Going back, my most important question, which we skipped right over, did you get the black or the green?
I went with the black version.
Okay.
Yeah, so this has got like a fixed bezel with the black on it.
I wasn't sure. Sam's wearing a green t-shirt. I thought maybe he went for it.
and I've certainly been going through a bit of a blue watch dial, and it was a toss-up between that and the Hamilton. I think that Hamilton represents just a fantastic value.
Yeah.
The grey market dealers, there's a few second-hand ones, they're knocking them out at around $400. But yeah. I think I do want a quartz just to balance out the collection. Sort of go back and forth with quartz. But
yeah, I definitely this week in particular, but anytime that I'm active and have to just run out of the house, it's grab and go. And so those watches, so for however nostalgic we are for a mechanical timepiece, it's like someone's like, we got to go do this thing right now. You're just you look at the watch box and you're like, yep, I'm just going to grab quartz because it's running. I don't have to set it. It's ready to go. So
we'll dive into a couple of news stories, one that's very current, and then we've got one that's a bit more upbeat. But we've talked about the coronavirus. I think must be on at least the last 5 podcasts as it's been going through, and we've been talking about it very much in terms of how it's affecting the watch industry. And this week we learned that these actually amuse me a bit, sort of maybe my dark sense of humor here, but both Hublot and Rolex shut down, and part of me's thinking, who would ever know that the Rolex factory had shut down?
Stores were empty yesterday. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, you think it was like the start of Willy Wonka's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where the factory's been shut down for years, hasn't it? And nobody's heard of Willy Wonka, and it's like that's like the Rolex factory, isn't it? It's like
a little bit, yeah.
A few Rolex collectors might get a golden ticket that they're blessed to buy a steel Submariner one day. How could people? Obviously, it's making light of a very dark situation, and it was just something that amused me. And I think certainly because I've been quarantined at home, not quarantined. Our work has been office has been shut for the last 13 days.
It's big news, certainly. Certainly them and Hublot, right?
Yeah, and Hublot shut down as well.
Mm-hmm.
I never can tell how well Hublot's doing. You get the sense that they can kind of go in and fashion, in and out of fashion. I mean, Federico did a great video. I think I might have talked about it last week on the watch brands that are likely to really hurt on this. And he didn't mention Hublot. He mentioned Panerai, which I know probably hurt him because he's a Panerai fan. But Hublot just seems of a time. It seems of an early 2000s.
And as well as Panerai. It feels like that too, Their
Yeah.
I their collection especially, maybe maybe not so much. I mean, Hublot has got some stuff that they're doing, but they're so far outside of, they're deep into the, high end horology, the high end luxury stuff. And I mean, what's their starter piece? They're not like any other brand. I mean, like, you could say, okay, so you could say IWC. We can talk about IWC. Well, I mean, you can get a, $2,800 and, maybe $3,000 entry level IWC.
Yep.
Entry level for, for that brand, right? And you can then go all the way to, they've got perpetual calendar, etc. For tens of thousands of dollars, etc. And they've got crazy pieces. It's what their range is. Much like a lot of the brands that we talk about, Omega, any of the Swatch brands, have that range. Whereas, I think you're right. I think Hublot's sort of just up there, just in that. They've got themselves sort of cornered up in that top end market of just a couple of pieces. I don't think they have a field watch. I don't think they offer a field watch, or they don't offer something basic, so.
No, I can just think of that kind of all PVD black Big Bang that might start at, maybe it's a $6,000 or $7,000 watch. But, and then, okay, well, just a little bit of a more light-hearted one. And this was something that I only noticed today, and that is that Hamilton have re-released that Pulsar watch, the LED watch.
Oh, nice.
They've massively improved it. They're using OLED technology now. It's got 100 meters water resistance. This is that super famous Pulsar, the one where you press the button and it lit up. It was in Live and Let Die. What do you think of this? I mean, they've not taken Pulsar off. It's now a Hamilton.
Okay, yeah. I noticed that. That was the first thing I noticed, where they changed the logo. So Pulsar was basically a brand. I mean, I guess it was their spin. I mean, it was a brand that Hamilton made, and during the quartz crisis, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And so they put the Hamilton brand on it, but it's done in the same fashion. It looks really good. And you said they did OLED.
Yes.
So it should last the battery in the thing should last a really long time.
Yeah, and they've put sapphire crystal on it. They've basically taken, it's almost, I don't know if it's millimeter to millimeter the exact size of the case, but it looks identical to the predecessor, except they've just really updated it. And what they've done as well, and you made reference to this, is the price seems high, but when you think about it, it's reasonable. They've got a gold PVD coated one that's just under $1,000, $995, and then which is a limited edition.
Okay.
And then the steel version is going to be non-limited edition, and that's $745.
Right.
If Omega re-released the Speedmaster Digital, I mean, that's going to be like, what, $60,000 or something ridiculous. So they've done...
Spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel, exactly.
$75,000. So.
And so I think that's quite good. I mean, 745 for...
Yeah, when you said it, they're like 700 in that range, I was like, okay, that makes sense. And that, I think that's all we're asking for. That's what we're asking for as far as, does it make sense? I mean, value for money. Okay. $700. Yep. And it's you get that nostalgia, you get the new technology. It does look 1-to-1. Yeah.
What do you feel about these watches that, I mean, this is past vintage inspired. This is replica of a previous model.
Reissue is, I think, the term. Yeah, the reissue, which I think is great. I mean, hang-ups I have with a bunch of brands where I really like what they did in the 80s with the particular piece, or with the, the 60s or 70s. But the older it gets, like, how can you really wear it every day? How can you really love it? How can you have it on your wrist and enjoy it and be active and not fear for it the older it gets? So, I mean, I keep referencing the Omega 300. I would love for them to do a true, white lume reissue of it, because I want that. I just want a brand new one. So I'm totally fine with a brand new one. And I think it's one of the reasons why I'm drawn to Bell and Ross, because they have these designs, these older style designs that look like this is something, like if Bell and Ross was around in the 1960s, this is what their GMT pilot's watch would look like. But they're a new brand, and so you can just buy a brand new, and you kind of get the best of both, because you have a brand new watch, it's waterproof, it's sealed, and then it evokes that time. So perfect for Hamilton. This is great.
So before we dive into our main story, let's just quickly stop for a little break here. Okay, guys, welcome back. I think for our main, normally we have a specific topic that we talk about, something to do with watch related, but I think with everything that's gone on the last week or so, certainly the coronavirus, the COVID-19 being marked as a global pandemic, it seems like day to day it spreads across more parts of the world. I know we're certainly on lockdown here. I thought we would talk about that, also how it makes us feel about watch collecting, which sounds pretty trivial, to be honest. I mean, there's people really hurting out there, but as this is a watch podcast,
I mean, I think it's genuine for us to. I mean, I was 50-50 on this, and I think it's genuine for us. We've been talking about it. We're gonna talk about it now. We're gonna talk about how it makes us feel, and we know that there are folks out there that are in the same. We're confused. We're going to the grocery store. We're seeing lines. We're not sure what's happening. So we're all in this together. We can talk about it. We can take a minute and compare stories, swap stories a little bit.
Yeah, I've been finding I've been working from home, which hasn't been too bad actually. I work for a company that predominantly office based. Now I was remote, although I did go into the office once or twice a week. They're based in San Diego, and I'm up in Orange County, so maybe an hour and a half's drive. So I'd go in twice a week. So I've been really proud of the way that my company's turned that around, and so it's been, and it definitely has been a stressful time. And I've got two minds about this. One mind is that it's definitely made me rethink my kind of watch collecting goals and what I want to do with the collection that I do have. But also I have found some solace in certainly researching that Citizen watch has been taken my mind off it a little bit.
Yeah, to just escape away and just I was in, and I feel for anyone listening who's paid hourly. I've got, I work with a bunch of people, and we've got a bunch of hourly employees, and right now everything is in flux. It's been in flux for a few days, and it's definitely feel for anyone out there in sort of a situation where they can't work from home. They have to come in, warehouse folks, service industry folks. I mean, the folks I stopped and I was in the drive-through at Starbucks, and please tip heavily. Think of it like Christmas time. Just tip those folks, because they're the ones keeping everybody going. And I'll tell you that that nice big Starbucks coffee, I needed it for the day that I informed. We have about 15, 20 folks in our office, and informed them that we're going to try to do a work from home.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, I know when I sold that Omega Speedmaster, some people might call this karma, but I put that in my share builder, thinking that I was doing not an honourable thing, but kind of like a grown-up thing, and like, right, I'm going to invest this, and then promptly the stock market kind of folded. But to put it all in perspective, both me and my wife are still working, and we could sustain, to your point, I mean, we could sustain many months out of work if we absolutely had to. But for those workers, absolutely, where they are hourly based and they're living paycheck to paycheck, it's an astonishing amount of certainly the US.
3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. our hourly employees in the United States.
And it's amazing. It's everyone that we, when you not even just when you're going out to eat, but it's almost the majority of people that you interact during the day that keeps the American economy going. And
so I had to set up I set up this work from home program. We set it up yesterday, and the two takeaways for me, I was so happy when I came in. You mentioned we were talking about the Pulsar earlier. A watch inspired by 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I came into work and there was no one in the office. So I was the only one there. And I just wanted, I came in for tech support and to help everybody to make sure they were connected. And I kind of looked out on all the computers remotely connected. People were driving around, mouses moving, things like that. And I had a moment where I kind of felt like, one of the astronauts on the spaceship. Where everyone's in stasis and we're going to Jupiter, and I'm just kind of taking care of the ship, just walking around, just making sure everything's okay, because complete ghost town at my whole office park. And back to watches, when I on like Monday and Tuesday, when I woke up and I looked down at my watch box and sort of had that realization that like that a lot of stuff was going to change in the next 3 days, and that we had this crisis on our hands. I looked down at the watch box. I was like, none of this matters.
I'm the same. I know it seems very, very trivial us talking about watches and watch collecting and stuff like that at a time like this, but this is a watch podcast. So advanced apologies if hopefully nobody takes offense to us. For people who are subscribed to the watch channel, you'll know that I haven't uploaded for a couple of weeks. I sit at my desk ready to film something, and it's just one of those things where you've got so much going on in your mind. I'm struggling to think of. I've got plenty of uploads to do, so please stick with the channel. And what I think I'm going to do this weekend is I'm going to sit down and record quite a few in succession, because I'm realizing that at times like this, doing watch content is trivial in terms of what we have got on, but certainly some I think we all need a bit of escapism. We can't constantly be watching the news, so I'm definitely going to be doing some more watch content this weekend. But it's made me think about what in terms of watches represents value, because I think if this pandemic, I think it's looking almost inevitable now that it might lead into a recession. I wonder what these watch companies, what will happen to them, especially, I know we keep talking about Omega, people are sick of talking about Omega, but those ones that are, because 2008 saw the top and the bottom, didn't it? Like companies that were seen as very good value did well, and companies that were at the real top end. So we saw this with, supermarket chains and, fashion brands and stuff like that in that 2008 after that and epic. That those middle of the road ones that were kind of in the middle, they were the ones that suffered the most, really, because people wanted to buy quality and they also wanted value.
Right.
So if you're sort of in the middle, straddling the two of them, like, obviously, you could name quite a few brands that are in that one. I mean, I know Federico certainly mentioned like Longines and
Longines I see them as. They're pretty big. I mean, to go away, I don't think that's a bold statement. Yeah,
I don't think they would go away, certainly because they've got the mothership.
That's right. It was to be hurt. I mean, they'll be hurt. Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, I think unfortunately, we're gonna have a lot of reduction in staff and options and builds, and so this will all spin way down. And I mean, it was heading. I mean, I can't say that it wasn't heading in that direction. I mean, we've sort of reported on it a couple times. Not that we're news or live or reporting, but we had mentioned it that Swatch was way off, and they had seen a reduction. I mean, this is 2 years ago. They were talking about, does Baselworld matter? you know, this is two years ago. They were like, you know, why are we spending our time doing this? Why are we coming out with all this new stuff?
What do you think happens to those? They're still saying the Tokyo Olympics will go ahead.
Yeah.
But, I mean, people are thinking, how can it... I mean, Tokyo's saying, look, we're too far down the line. I mean, this... if we were going to pull the cord on this thing, we would have had to have done it 6 months ago. I mean, the wheels are in motion.
Yeah, the
can't
machinery.
Stop this thing.
Yeah.
But the rest of the world's looking at them like, you know, dude, what's going on? Do you think those watches, both Swatch have got the Tokyo actual swatches, and of course you've got the Omega limited editions. Do you think those watches go up in value because they say 2020 on them, and maybe Tokyo is Tokyo 2021?
Yeah, 2021. I don't know. Yeah, possibly. And that's an interesting. Yeah, because they said they could. I think there was talk that they could maybe delay it, but yeah, you're totally right. Like that. Like LA is set for 28. Is that right?
Something like that.
Something like that. I was like, where am I going to be there? Or 2028, not 2030, 2028.
What's freaky about those Olympics though is they come around faster than you think, don't
they? They do, but also like you think like, oh, that's 8 years away, or when they announced it like 2 years ago, like, oh, it's 10 years away, whatever, but you're like, yeah, but if we have to build a stadium for a particular bicycle race, like we have to start building that right now.
Yeah, it's funny. And what do you think about, maybe it's clever marketing, maybe it's a game that Rolex has been playing? Have they foreseen this? So therefore they've been lowering production in prep.
Yeah.
I don't mean a pandemic. Of course they don't.
No,
They couldn't have ever foreseen that. But certainly a downturn in the economy in general was overdue.
Yes.
Do you think they've seen this?
Yeah, I think they're smart because, we've been around the sun a couple times. So it was clear to me maybe 3 years ago that we were kind of headed for something. Now, this is obviously a massive trigger for it, just like the housing market was, and the loans for the package loans for houses back in 2008. But of any company that if they said, no, we have a backup plan for this, we have a plan for this, I would totally believe Rolex would have a plan for this, just based on how much they know about the market, how smart they are about it. I would believe them if they said we knew. If Swatch came out and said they knew, I'd be like, yeah, but did you?
Yeah, it's funny, and going back to Swatch and Rolex, it's for a long time been known that the majority of these luxury watches get sold to Chinese buyers. So with the disruption in the Chinese economy now, does that really affect?
I think from the standpoint of will brands go away? Yes. Brands are going to go away. Companies are going to go away. Brands are going to go away. Is that good for consumers? Nope. Because your options go away and the pricing is, however controlled or however much, with any market, whether it's oil or Swiss watches, there's someone controlling the number of movements that get made, and the Swiss know how to do that. And so they are deciding that. And so as far as what consumer choice goes down, I don't know if it'll turn more than that. I think. Yeah,
it's certainly. I was thinking. Definitely, if there is an economic downturn, would I sell more of my watches? For example, like would I sell my Tudor? So my Tudor Black Bay 58 is still worth nearly what I paid for it, just because of the scarcity. So I shouldn't really poke in the eye of Rolex because that actually has benefited me. But then I'm thinking, well, actually, that is a store of value.
Right, yeah.
Like, should I sell it so that the cash is on hand? Basically, it's like a two-part. I go back and forth. Like, should I sell it because it's valuable? Or should I keep hold of it because also it is our store of value in the future? But then what worried me about the whole process of selling my Speedmaster was it took a number of weeks to sell, and I'd priced it competitively, and I thought I would sell it a lot faster. So it's a store of value, but also you have to at some point liquidate that value.
And we're not. Yeah, what does that market look like? And so I wouldn't. I would keep it around, and also I think maybe you more than I do. I especially with with the sale of the Speedmaster that we've been talking about. I think you see the value more, maybe, or that's more important to you. I'm not going to discount it. I'm saying
yes,
the value of it is more important to you than it is for me. I definitely put some importance into it, but as I said to you earlier when we were discussing about what we were going to talk about for the show, I said, but Sam, that Tudor is you. You know, like that sort of, that defines, that watch keys me into you as a person, your personality, why you chose that. The same reason, we love the hobby, because we look at what people wear and we say, why did you pick that? Why were you drawn to that? Why is that special to you? And for me, I think it's a more emotional, where I'm not going to get rid of it or I'm not going to sell it, or I'm not, it's more of that. Not that I won't flip a watch every now and then, but
yeah, it's funny. It's I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, that a few years ago, certainly when I moved to America, I flipped like the way that I thought about a lot of things. I turned more kind of minimalist, and I stopped I stopped putting emotion into things that like watches and things like that I used to in the past do it, and I don't know how I kind of flip that switch. So I know a couple of people commented about the Speedmaster. Well, you'll probably regret that. And honestly, except for when we're talking about it on these podcasts, I don't give that Speedmaster a second thought. It was part of my life. I enjoyed it. I've got photographs and stuff like that. So, but then having said that, age is a good teller of that type of thing. I might be 60 and then crying over it,
Right. Stay tuned for Sam's reversal on that.
Yeah, what would that be? That would be 20. I'd be 60 in 2040.
Okay.
No, that's not right, is it?
Nope.
No, I'd be 60 in 2020. 2040. I'd be 60.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, stay tuned for episode. What would that be? Episode
2137. Yeah. 2000. Right? We're doing 300. We're doing each week. We're doing 300.
50.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
3,000.
No, actually,
10,000 days or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, guys, it's been a bit of a sober podcast. Thanks for sticking in there with us. Chris, did you have anything you wanted to?
Yeah, I wanted to say, it's on everybody's mind, so Sam and I wanted to have a conversation about it and just kind of talk about, where we were at. And we want to make sure, and please, we want to make sure everyone is safe and healthy and stays that way, and follows the guidelines of everyone out there that's telling you, stay home, stay safe, and wash those hands, and all the social distancing stuff that you're hearing. We're following that. We're living through that just like you guys are. So we just wanted to express that and then try to have a sort of a state of how we feel and a conversation about that. So
yeah, and wouldn't it be a funny conversation if in a couple of months people are sort of saying, I like your watch. How much is that worth? And you're like, well, it's a Rolex. It's probably worth, $13,000. And they're like, no, how much is it worth in rolls of toilet paper?
Right. Yes. Yes.
Where that becomes the commodity of the future.
Yeah. There was a couple of good ones where it was like 6 rolls of toilet paper and they were trading it for a house. It was good.
It's just ridiculous that I'm glad that we've got some on hand. Anyway, guys,
I was gonna say we're doing good. We checked our stocks. We have plenty of stock at this point. So
oh, that's excellent. Yeah, and guys, please join us over on the Facebook group. As I mentioned, Chris, who's our resident military expert, he's been doing some fantastic posts, a lot of great photos. I mean, he's got the best wrist shots that you have ever seen.
Yeah, pretty epic stuff that he does. Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible, isn't it? Have you read his one about the Waltham clock yet? If not, you should check that out.
I did not, but I will now fall into that. That's great.
Yeah, and he's got a real good eye for watches that are value. He's certainly got a Speedmaster and stuff, but he buys right in that value segment.
Yeah, that's great.
And his reasons for buying certain watches, and because he's got that eye of being a naval aviator, really interesting. So you should definitely check out his posts. If you want to check me out, I'm on Instagram, Casual Watch Reviewer. There's the YouTube channel. Chris is Chris at Everyday Mastery. So, guys, let us know how you're getting on the Facebook group. As always, we appreciate you watching. Chris, thanks for joining me today after you've had a busy day.
Yep, stay safe.
As always, guys, appreciate listening, and we'll both see you next time or hear you next time on Casual Watch Talk. Thanks, guys. Bye.